It was a golden afternoon, the kind that made city parks glow with laughter, footsteps, and the rustling whispers of swaying trees. Children were playing on the swings, chasing butterflies, and giggling under the sun. In the middle of it all was Lila, a sweet 6-year-old with chestnut curls and sparkly shoes, holding tightly to her father's hand as they strolled through Greenwood Park. Her father, Mr. Collins, had promised her a special day out after a tough week at work. They bought ice cream, fed ducks, and Lila twirled in joy like the princess she imagined herself to be. But just a few moments. That's all it took. Mr. Collins had stepped aside to answer a call. A long one. When he turned around, Lila was gone. Lila had wandered toward the fountain, chasing a paper butterfly blown by the wind. When she turned to run back, her daddy was nowhere in sight. "Daddy?" she called, her tiny voice swallowed by the sounds of the bustling park. She walked around, clutching her half-melted cone, calling for him. Minutes turned into hours. The sun was beginning to fall. The laughter faded. People passed her by. Some looked, some didn't. A few smiled sympathetically, assuming a parent was nearby. But no one stopped. Lila sat by a bench near the old maple tree, tears silently carving paths down her cheeks. She hugged her knees and whispered, "I just want to go home." Across the park, a stray German shepherd emerged from behind the bushes. He was scruffy, with a slight limp, and his eyes carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken stories. He wandered the park often, avoiding people who shooed him away or ignored him entirely. But this time he stopped. He smelled something familiar. Not the tears, not the sadness, but something warm, something kind. He turned his head toward the sobbing girl on the bench. Her scent. It was her. The little girl with the sandwich. Months ago, he had been starving, hiding behind trash bins and dodging stones from strangers. And one afternoon, a small girl, this same girl, had offered him half of her sandwich while her nanny wasn't looking. She had smiled and said, "You're not scary. You're just hungry." He never forgot her. And now she was in trouble. The dog slowly approached, careful not to frighten her. Lila looked up, startled. Then her eyes widened. "You're the dog," she whispered, rubbing her eyes. "The hungry dog from before." The German shepherd gently nuzzled her hand, then sat beside her protectively. For the first time in hours, Lila felt safe. She placed her tiny hand on his fur. "I missed you." After a few minutes, the dog stood up, turned, and barked, then walked a few steps forward and looked back at her. "Do you want me to follow you?" she asked softly. Another bark. Lila stood up slowly, brushing off the dirt from her dress. "Okay, but don't go too fast." What followed was nothing short of a miracle. The dog led her. Not through the loud areas or open roads, but through quiet paths under trees, past benches, until they reached the very gate where she and her dad had entered earlier. Mr. Collins was frantic, his voice hoarse, eyes red, surrounded by police and volunteers. He had searched every corner, begged every stranger, cried into his hands more than once. Then he heard a bark, a sharp, confident bark. He turned, and there she was. "Lila!" he cried out, running toward her, nearly falling as his knees gave way. "Daddy!" They collided in an embrace that made onlookers tear up. Lila sobbed into his chest as he held her like he'd never let go again. "The dog! He brought me to you," she said between sniffles. Everyone turned to the German shepherd, who stood a few feet away, tail wagging slightly, eyes soft and alert. Mr. Collins knelt. You saved my daughter." He reached out slowly. The dog, sensing no threat, inched forward. For the first time in a long time, someone touched him with kindness. The next day, Mr. Collins asked around and confirmed it. The dog had been seen around the park for months. No one knew where he came from. No owner. No name. Lila had a suggestion. "Can we call him Hero?" Mr. Collins smiled. "That's perfect." Hero was no longer a stray. He had a home, a bed, and a new family who loved him fiercely. He slept every night outside Lila's room, always alert, always listening. And every afternoon, the two best friends would return to the park, not to get lost, but to remember what they found.